Greetings, citizens, residents, girls, boys, viewers, and listeners. Today, December 3rd, marks the annual observance of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The United Nations defines disability as any long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment which may hinder an individual's full and effective participation in society on an equal basis. In St. Kitts and Nevis, four major causes of disability are recognized. These include learning disorders, behavioral or developmental disorders, diabetes-related amputations, and physical injuries or rare medical conditions. Persons with disabilities are no different to any of us when it comes to their dreams or desires for growth and advancement. They are equally entitled to participate in all aspects of life and society. However, for those of us who have a disability, we often require special accommodations in the form of assistive devices, adapted infrastructure, and tailored educational supports to enable them to participate fully and equally into everyday society as we know it. In 2006, the United Nations adopted the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities to promote, protect, and ensure that the rights of all persons with disabilities are acknowledged and fully enjoyed without discrimination. St. Kitts and Nevis supports these rights, and in October 2019, the Federation signed and ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. What this means is that the Federation commits itself to recognizing and respecting the human rights of persons with disabilities by making the necessary laws, policies, and practical measures to facilitate their dignified and meaningful engagement in society. Currently, there is no Disability Act or National Disability Policy, but the fundamental rights of persons with disabilities are protected under the 1983 Constitution and other policies and plans that take into account a disability lens to ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are met. While the government and ministry works on materializing a national disability policy and action plan, we must recognize the established institutions in St. Kitts and in Nevis that function to support those who are differently abled. Some institutions that are involved and provide services and support to persons with disabilities include the St. Kitts and Nevis Association for Persons with Disabilities, Addie's Place, the Nevis Blind, Light and Visually Impaired Society, the Cardin Home, the Flamboyant Nursing Home, the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School, the Cicely Brown Integrated School, and the St. Kitts Spectrum Services Center. These are all well known for providing educational and life skills training, social interactions, and networking for persons who are disabled in various forms. We also acknowledge and appreciate our public hospitals and healthcare facilities, which are accessible to persons with disabilities and where professionals are equipped in identifying disabilities at an early stage to provide necessary intervention. Children under the age of 18 and adults over the age of 62 receive free medical care. Individuals who are suspected of having autism can receive assessments and help at the Spectrum Services Center. And of course, the Ministries of Social Development and Gender Affairs, Education, Youth Empowerment, Aging and Disability also play a fundamental role in funding and supporting these organizations to do the work that they do. As we observe today as the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, I must thank the named organizations and institutions for their work and service. Without them, persons with disabilities would feel and be even more marginalized in our communities and the nation. So a sincere thank you to the workers, staff, trainees, and participants at the various institutions that specifically work with and support persons with disabilities in our Federation. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis is committed to improving the lives of persons with disabilities, including visitors to the Federation. It has embarked on a mission to honoring and fulfilling its obligations of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, because in order to make life more equitable, we must ensure that no one is left behind. The international theme for this year's annual observance is Transformative Solutions for Inclusive Development, the Role of Innovation in Fueling an Accessible and Equitable World. Just last week, the ministry concluded a week of stakeholder consultations in Nevis and in St. Kitts to inform the development of a public awareness campaign and a survey to capture data on persons with disabilities, which will be used for policy and program planning. As per this year's theme, we aspire to transform attitudes and ideas about persons with disabilities so that we can become a more practical and equitable society that enables participation of everyone, regardless of ability. As a nation, we must begin to look at disability-inclusive development, whereby access to employment among persons with disabilities is increased. Being innovative requires us to identify opportunities to train and employ persons in task-oriented jobs that they can do well as using assistive technologies that can help persons gain employment and participate more in leisure and sporting activities. US-based studies have suggested that companies who embrace best practices for employing and supporting more persons with disabilities in their workforces actually outperform their peers. Leading companies for disability employment and inclusion had, on average over a 4-year period, 28% higher revenue, double the net income, and 30% higher economic profit margins than other companies that did not practice disability-inclusive employment. What these statistics indicate is that the added value that persons with disabilities can bring to our national development, if we make efforts to accommodate and adapt environments to enable their inclusion. In this administration's thrust to build a resilient and sustainable future, we also recognize the need for social development that exhibits cultural and attitudinal shifts around how we treat and engage those who are differently abled than us. The government and ministry will continue to make efforts to support and include persons with disabilities in development, and I encourage all of us, individuals as well as public and private sector entities, to be part of contributing to transformative solutions that sponsor and facilitate inclusive development for persons with disabilities. Happy International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Thank you for listening.